Hey, thanks for joining me on how much to charge for public speaking. Yeah, this is a taboo topic in a lot of circles, and it's not taboo here because this is my channel. So, hey, thanks for joining me. And I'm excited for you because you must be speaking so much, you have to figure out what fee to charge. That's a good place to be in. And so, we're going to talk about it here. I'm going to give you some of the rhyme and reason as to why and how you should charge. And I'm Jason Hewlett, Hall of Fame speaker. Been doing this for over 20 plus years, so excited to chat you through this. So if you've ever wondered how much you should charge for a speaking event, whether you've gotten a fee or not, this is a great video to find, and I appreciate you joining me. And here's what I also want you to know. There's a big difference between what you charge and what you actually get. Most people don't talk about that. They just say, this is what you should charge. And then in reality, they probably don't even get that either. So I'm going to tell it like it is. Most people may not like this video that have, claimed that they know what they're doing when it comes to charging. And so if they find this video, I hope they'll get a laugh out of it too, because I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm glad you're here. First, I want you to understand your value. Yeah, what is your time worth? When you think about getting on a stage and when you think about other speakers that you've heard what they charge, I want you to not really compare yourself as much to them right now in this moment. I want you to think about what your value truly is. And that doesn't mean your value in self-worth as a human being. No, we're talking about your value whenever you step on stage and share something of significance. So what is it worth in terms of stepping away from your everyday job if you have a full-time job, or if you've now made the big jump into speaking full-time and you're saying to yourself, I need to charge a different amount in order to make it. So how much is that worth to you? And then at the same time, you also have to think about what is it worth for me to travel? Because this is where things need to start to align. The challenge is that a lot of people think, well, I'll just charge what I need on stage, but I won't account for the amount of time it takes me to prepare and to travel and to get the gig and to run my business. You see, that's one of the main reasons that people charge so much, is that there is so many things around getting the gig. And so it's not just the hour or so on stage, it's also everything surrounding it. And so let's say if you charge $5,000 for a speech, let's just throw out a number for a minute. Imagine you charge $5,000 for your hour, but it takes you a day to get there on the plane and a day to get back to your home. Now essentially you're on a 3-day swing because you had the gig right in the middle. That's 3 days of your time in travel. What about the amount of time it took you to get the gig, to have the people that put the contract together if you hired it out? Maybe thinking about your promo videos and your website and all the social media work you're doing, all the preparation. Maybe you're investing in coaching and becoming a better speaker these ways. Well, there's a lot that goes into it. Eventually a $5,000 speech feels like probably Napoleon Dynamite when he was doing the math after he did all the work, and he's like, it's like $1 an hour, right? So maybe you're not there yet, but think about it. It all has to be spread out over a certain amount of time. So what is your value? Consider for yourself what it means to be you for 1 hour at your normal job in everyday business, but also when it comes to being on stage. One of my favorite lines of all time when it comes to being the traveler, because if you're going to speak, you'll be so lucky to speak just in your home state or nearby with a car drive away, and so you're going to have to travel. One of the greatest lines of all of music in the history of the world is by Dan Fogelberg, who sang, "The audience was heavenly, but the traveling was hell." Yeah, that's from Auld Lang Syne. These are some great lyrics because it's true. Travel can be the tough part for anybody that's traveled too much. So when it comes to your value, you might even consider, what's it worth to my body and to my missing out on my family and some other time in personal life to be able to go out there and do that? Think about your value in that sense as well. So I'd like you to just take a self-assessment for a moment. If you want to pause this video and just start writing down what you think your time is worth. If someone were to say, I need you to coach me for 1 hour on the phone, what could you charge? Then that might help you come up with a closer roundabout for what your fee on stage should be. Now, after you've done this assessment for yourself about figuring out your own value and what your time is really worth, now it's time to start researching market rates. Yeah, when it comes to market rates, you get to look up what other speakers are doing And this is where comparison becomes the thief of joy, as we've all heard that quote. I don't want you to be too frustrated when you see what other speakers are charging, because if you're not even close, that's okay. We're going to get you there. And if you just subscribe to this channel, then there's plenty of ways for you to figure out how to become a greater speaker to get these big fees. But I want you to look at some other speakers, and all you have to do is type into Google a very quick search. You could type in the name of a speaker you know, and then write either their name and then appearance fee or speaker fee, and see what it pops up. You could also go to a place called espeakers.com, and eSpeakers is a directory for professional speakers who make a living doing it, or people that are close to making that their full living. So go check out some of those rates. And if you've never thought about what it would cost to have, a fee for somebody to come and speak, this will be a really interesting eye-opener, because it's way pricier than most people understand. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and very innocently have said, we'd love to have you come and speak. And I would say, well, what's your budget? And they would be like, what do you mean? And I'd say, well, this is how I make a living. And they'd say, why would you charge to speak? And I say, well, have you ever asked your dentist to do the work for free? Or how did it go when you went to a restaurant and asked for that meal for free? It's obviously an eye-opener for somebody who thinks that everything that a speaker does ought to be for next to nothing. And, there are times and places to do things for free, but it should be for a charitable organization and cause. And so as you look up all these different fees, I hope you're ready to check out what's really going on, because it's amazing the fees that people can get if they're really good at speaking. I'd say also that you want to really consider joining the National Speakers Association. I've been a member of that for over 20 years, and this is the place where professional speakers learn the business, but also network with each other. And so just by combining with other people and figuring out what they're doing, or networking and working with them, you'll figure out, oh, I could probably charge a little bit differently now that I know who's charging what. That's a very helpful, fast way to do it. I'd also like to talk to you about customizing pricing for different clients. So there may be some that are charitable, and then there are the for-profit organizations where you want to charge. Those could be associations, corporations, education, etc. But then there are groups that are charitable, nonprofits that are, the places that you want to speak just as a service to the community. You can die by charity, and even though I'm somebody who speaks a lot for free, a lot of that is not only to give back as a goodwill to the universe, but also I know that every time I take the stage, I'm going to get an opportunity to be paid in a different way. And whether that's just the health of my own career and stability, but also the opportunity to be promoting myself around others, it's been a very helpful thing for me and a good practice. So I want you to think about how you can differentiate your pricing in some aspects. Now, it is good to establish a certain fee as your main fee, as your main keynote, but then maybe you have workshops, maybe you do some coaching. Those can be different fees that you charge as well. And sometimes coaching can be way more than just the keynote fee that you charge. I don't want you to be frustrated, because I'm going to get to the numbers in just a minute as to what you can charge and what the numbers can look like if you haven't looked it up yet. But when it comes to different pricing, depending on the group, there's something that to be said about the speaker who says, I charge $100,000. And it's like, you charge $100,000 for a speech? And it's like, wow, how often do you speak? Well, I haven't spoken for 5 years, but it's like, no. Charge something that you're actually going to get the fee, not just saying that you're some crazy, outrageous price. Put yourself in a place for success. And that might mean charging a little bit less until you get it enough that you can say, oh, okay, now it's time to raise my fee. What's interesting that I've found some speakers have done is they've priced themselves out of a market. So they might charge a lower fee, like let's say a lower fee in this sense would be $1,000 or $2,500. So they charge that at first for a while, and they start to get it. And they think because they got 4 or 5 of those, that now it's time to jump to 10,000. Well, that's too big of a jump right now. As well as I've seen other people that have just jumped right into speaking from making nothing, and they're like, I'm 25 grand a day. And it's like, well, good luck getting a gig. Unless you've got a hit movie or just won a gold medal at the Olympics, it's going to be a big stretch to get that fee. So instead of jumping from 0 to hero at 10K or 0 to hero at 25K, maybe start at a place where it's maybe in the $2,500 to $5,000 range. Get that enough to the point that you say, I think it's time to raise my fee to maybe $7,500 or $10,000 from here. But unfortunately, some people get that fee a few times and then they jump too fast. They outprice their market. You also can think about how you could do things locally, nationally, and then internationally. What I recommend is you also establish a travel fee, a travel stipend. So let's say you are charging $10,000 for your speech. You also want to tack on to that I charge $1,500 for travel on top of my fee. That's a good way to not eat all of the money that you just made as the speech with the travel fees that you might incur. Also remember that when you work with bureaus are going to ask, do you want us to charge your fee or can we tack on our fee on top? I would recommend you always have them quote your normal fee, that if someone called your office or called you directly, you would give the same fee that a bureau gives. And so the bureau takes their commission out, so it's net. And you're just grateful to get those gigs. It's a 25% cut. But it's a big thing because a bureau can get you a lot of work. But you might have a different fee for if you work locally in your own state. You might have a different fee for national and an even bigger fee for international. These are some cool things that can really add up. Another thing you can do when it comes to establishing your fee is to figuring out what extra values and add-ons you can add. So such as, I'm going to bring books, or I'm going to do coaching, or we're going to have pre-event calls. I'm going to make videos for you. I'm going to help you promote the event. All of these things can add up to be extra benefit for the client who says, hey, your fee is a little bit too high. And you can say, well, let me just say that this fee can also include some of these extra assets and things that you wouldn't get otherwise. One of my favorite ways to implementing flexible pricing, if you're thinking, well, I want to charge $10,000 when I go national, but what about when I'm local or international? So I'd say a good rule of thumb is if you're charging $10,000, you can go about a half or a completely double the fee from $10,000 to $20,000 for international. You can shoot for that. That's very reasonable to have it be double. But if you're going to speak locally, it doesn't mean you have to charge different, but you can actually have an opportunity for anybody to have you local. You say, I'm $10,000 whenever I speak throughout the country. But since you guys are local, this is what my friend Jason Kotecki calls it. Jason Kotecki is one of the best speakers, best people in the world. He calls it tuck my kids in bed benefit fee. Because it's local. He wants to sleep in his own house. He wants to see his kids that night. And so then they ask him, what is he willing to do it for? Or he says to them, hey, what's in your budget you can make work? And if they say, well, we know you're 10,000, or now at this point, Jason's probably in the 20,000s or higher. But if he's 10,000, let's say, his fee might just be, 5, 6, 7, 8,000, but the client can come up with the number for you. You don't need to give a discount. You can just say, my normal fee is 10,000. I'm happy to stay home and do this for you because it's local. What can you offer me? And then they'll come back and probably say, well, we only have 6,000. And then instead of you saying, well, I'm 10,000, but locally I'm happy to do it for $500. I mean, you don't want to make that kind of discrepancy. So give them a chance to give you their budget. When it comes to my fee, at the time of this recording, it is mid-2024. Yeah. And I charge $25,000 plus $1,500 for my hour-long keynote. Isn't that crazy? I mean, to me, that's amazing that it's worked up to that. But I want you to know that as you are watching me, you're probably thinking, there's no way he's a $25,000 keynote. That's okay. I mean, I've worked up to it over 20 plus years doing this. I would not recommend anyone start there. I'd recommend, if you've never charged anything, to at least get your expenses paid for first, and then start at $100. I know that may sound really small, but try it. If you can get $100, then the next time you can get $250. The next time you can get $500. And all you have to say is, when I speak for an event, I charge X amount. When you can do that without speaking after, you don't want to say your fee and then be like, well, I charge $500, but if you have no money, I can do it for this. No, you need to just say, I charge $500, and then be quiet. And let them then say, oh, we only have 300. You can slowly, incrementally work your way up. 100, 250, 500, 1,000, 1,500, you could make that little jump, or you can go 1,000 to 2,500. I've seen people do that. I'd recommend 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,500, 5,000, 7,500, 10,000, and then from there, you can figure it out as you go. So as you establish your fee, please ask questions in the comment box below. I'm making this video in order for you to understand how you can make a great fee as a speaker, and you can. Don't compare yourself to the point of being discouraged with others' fees. Like, my fee is something that has taken me a long time to get to. As you work your fee greater, it really depends on your ability to be good on stage, ability to have a lot of collateral material that you're offering, and people will see something of great value and benefit whenever you step on that stage. Wherever your fee lands, it's going to be the right place for a good amount of time. And so if you want to put in the comments what's been helpful here, I'd love to know that, as well as anything that you don't agree with. I'd love to see it as well, and I'll respond to every comment. I appreciate you joining me. Good luck in establishing your fee.